Hello, welcome back. So I did make a few videos in my language Danish about flying boats, seaplanes, amphibian aircrafts. So let's read a few of the classic flying boats, the big classic flying boats. But the camcorder is start to get low on power, but I was just to read about fighter jets, Russian fighter jets, so I'd like to get back to that and read. I'm not going to read about flying boats the next many weeks and months. And before that it was ultralights. But I think these flying boats are much more interesting to read about than all the Russian fighter jets, the old Russian MiG from the Soviet Union. But the camcorder is low on power again, and it takes 24 hours to charging. So I like to read this one. You can actually buy. You have one in I think Canada maybe. The Hawaii number 2 is for sale. I saw on YouTube, but probably it will cost more than $10 million or 20. So one is for sale now.
Martin JRM Mars. JRM Mars JRM-2 Mars Caroline Mars in U.S. Navy service role flying boat national origin United States manufacturer Glenn L. Martin Company first flight 23 June 1942 introduction 30 November 1943 retired 1956 USN status inactive primary use as United States Navy historical Forest Industries flying tankers 5th historical Coulson Flying Tankers, Historical. Produced 1945-1948 number build 7 developed into Martin 193. The Martin JRM Mars is a large, 4-engined cargo transport flying boat designed and built by the Martin Company for the United States Navy during World War II. It was the largest Allied flying boat to enter production, although only 7 were built. The United States Navy contracted the development of the XPB-2M1 Mars in 1938 as a long-range ocean patrol flying boat, which later entered production as the JRM Mars long-range transport. 4 of the surviving aircraft were later converted for civilian use to fighting water bombers. 2 of the aircraft still remain based at Spro 8 Lake just outside of Port Alberni, British Columbia, although neither is operational. Design and development. The prototype XPB-2M1 Mars, 1942. The Glenn L. Martin Company scaled up their PBM Mariner patrol bomber design to produce the prototype XPB-2M1 Mars. 1. The XPB-2M1 was announced on 8 November 1941. Delayed by an engine fire during ground runs, the aircraft first flew on the 23rd of June 1942. After flight tests with the XPB-2M between 1942 and 1943, she was passed on to the Navy. The original patrol bomber concept was considered obsolete by this time, and the Mars was converted into a transport aircraft designated the XPB-2M1A. The Navy was satisfied with the performance and ordered 20 of the modified JRM-1 Mars. 1. The first, named Hawaii Mars, was delivered in June 1945, but with the end of World War II the Navy scaled back their order, buying only the 5 aircraft which were then on the production line. 2. Though the original Hawaii Mars was lost in an accident on the Chesapeake Bay a few weeks after it first flew, the other 5 Mars were completed, and the last delivered in 1947. Operational history. U.S. Navy service. JRM 1 Buno 76820, Philippine Mars taking off from San Francisco Bay 1946, named the Marianas Mars, Philippine Mars, Marshall Mars, Caroline Mars, and a second Hawaii Mars. The 5 production Mars aircraft entered service ferrying cargo to Hawaii and the Pacific Islands on the 23rd of January 1944. 3. The last production airplane, the Caroline Mars, was designated JRM-2, powered by 3000 HP, 2200 kilowatts, Pratt & Whitney R4360 engines, and featured a higher maximum weight and other improvements. On the 4th of March, 1949, the Caroline Mars set a new world passenger load record by carrying 269 people from San Diego to San Francisco, ca. 4. On 5 April 1950, the Marshall Mars was lost near Hawaii when an engine fire consumed the airplane after her crew had evacuated. The remaining Big Four flew record amounts of naval cargo on the San Francisco-Honolulu route efficiently until 1956, when they were beached at NAS Alameda. 1. Civilian use. Moored on Spro 8 Lake, Vancouver Island. October 2006, undergoing winter maintenance. Scene 2008 with Philippine Mars in the background. Martin JRM Mars CFLYL, Hawaii Mars in 1959. The remaining Mars aircraft were to be sold for scrap, but a Canadian company, Forest Industries Flying Tankers, FIFT, was formed and bid for the 4 aircraft and a large spares inventory. The company represented a consortium of British Columbia forest companies, and their bid was accepted and the sale completed in December 1959. The 4 aircraft were reflown to Ferry Aviation at Victoria, British Columbia, for conversion into water bombers. The conversion involved the installation of a 6,000 imp gal, 27,000 L, 7,200 US gal, plywood tank in the cargo bay with retractable pickup scoops to allow uploading of water while the aircraft was taxiing. The scoops allowed 30 tons of water to be taken on board in 22 seconds. Later some of the hull fuel tanks were replaced with water tanks. 5. The Marianas Mars crashed near Northwest Bay, British Columbia, on the 23rd of June, 1961 during firefighting operations. All 4 crew members were lost. Just over a year later, on the 12th of October, 1962, while parked on shore at the Victoria Airport, the Caroline Mars was damaged beyond repair by Typhoon Frida when she was blown 200 yards, breaking her back. 6. The Hawaii Mars and Philippine Mars had their conversion into water bombers advanced and entered service in 1963. 1. They appeared at local air shows demonstrating their water-dropping ability. Flying Tankers Incorporated flew the water bombers to hot spots around the province when a need developed, such as in August 2003, when a large forest fire threatened the outskirts of Kelowna, British Columbia. On the 10th of November 2006, Timber West Forest Limited announced they were looking for buyers of the Mars. A condition of sale was that the purchaser would have to donate 1 plane back to Port Alberni when they were retired, as a historic attraction. 7. The Glen L. Martin Maryland Aviation Museum and British Columbia Aviation Council initiated a joint effort to preserve the aircraft, one for display in Maryland and the other at the current location in Canada. 8. On the 13th of April, 2007, Timber West announced the sale of boat aircraft to Coulson Forest Products, a local forestry company in Port Alberni, British Columbia. The 2 surviving tankers are presently operated by Coulson Flying Tankers and are based and maintained at Spro 8 Lake near Port Alberni. On the 25th of October, 2007, the Hawaii Mars, Redtail, arrived at Lake Elsinore in Southern California, on a private contract, to assist with firefighting efforts at the California wildfires of October 2007. Meanwhile, the Philippine Mars had been undergoing extensive maintenance and renovation and was expected to be ready to fly again by 2010.9. As of the 13th of August, 2009, the Hawaii Mars was in service fighting the La Brea fire east of Santa Maria in Southern California. The interior of Philippine Mars, August 2008. The large tanks hold fire retardant, which is mixed with water load. The aircraft can carry 7,200 US gallons, 27,276 liters, of water, and each deployment can cover an area of up to 4 acres, 1.6 hectares. The aircraft can also carry up to 600 US gallons, 2,270 liters, of foam concentrate for gelling the load drop. 10. They are mainly used to fight fires along the coast of British Columbia and sometimes in the interior. As of the 29th of July, 2010, the Martin Mars was being used to fight the Mason Lake / Bonaparte Lake fire north of Kamloops. 11. On the 23rd of August, 2012, the Coulson Group announced that the Philippine Mars, due to its lack of use for 5 years, would be retired and flown to the National Naval Aviation Museum at Naval Air Station Pensacola, Florida, to become a static exhibit. The aircraft was repainted to its original U.S. Navy colors and was to have been delivered to the museum in November 2012. 12. After many delays, the trade deal of transferring the aircraft to the museum was put on hold by the Navy in June 2016, pending the outcome of the 2016 U.S. presidential election. 13. Hawaii Mars and Philippine Mars at Spro-8 Lake, 2014. On the 10th of May, 2013, the BC provincial government announced that Hawaii Mars would no longer be placed on contract after the 2013 season, due to not having been used to fight any BC fires for 2 years and the operation of newer and more versatile aircraft with Coulson Group, including a Lockheed C-130 Hercules converted to firefighting use. Although Coulson has stated that the Hawaii Mars has been under numerous recent upgrades to make it safer and more reliable. 14. No buyers have come forward to purchase the aircraft. Coulson also cautioned against any plans to open the aircraft as a tourist attraction, citing the 2013 closure of the Flying Tankers Bomber Base Museum from poor attendance. 15. In May 2015, the Hawaii Mars received a small contract to be used briefly for training Chinese pilots. This was done using the Martin Mars to evaluate against civil certification regulations by the International Test Pilots School on how to handle such a large amphibious aircraft. The pilots would be involved with the Chinese state-owned Aviation Industry Corporation of China as they got ready to launch their forthcoming AVIC 600 airplane. 16. Subsequently, in July 2015, the airplane was put back in service after public outcry, being awarded a 30-day contract from the BC government to help with a particularly bad fire season. 17. In 2016, the Hawaii Mars made its first appearance at EAA Air Venture Oshkosh in hopes of being sold or leased to a new home or business. 18. One of the pilots on the way to Oshkosh was well-known Kermit Weeks. In January 2022, the Hawaii Mars was the subject of multiple news articles when it was placed on sale with company Platinum Fighter sales for over $5 million. 19. 20. In June 2023, plans were being finalized for the transfer of the Hawaii Mars to the BC Aviation Museum. 21. Variants. XPB-2M1 Model 170 Prototype Long-Range Patrol Flying Boat powered by 4 Wright R3350-8 piston engines, 1 built, converted to XPB2M1R. XPB2M1R prototype converted in December 1943 as a prototype transport version. Armament moved. Installation of additional cargo hatches and cargo loading equipment. Existing hatches were enlarged and the decking was reinforced. JRM1 Model 170. Production long-range transport variant. Originally 20 aircraft ordered, later reduced to 6. Single-tail design, and having a longer hull with fewer bulkheads and a larger maximum takeoff weight. It had also been fitted with equipment for overhead cargo handling and was powered by 4 Wright R3350-24WA Cyclone engines with 4-bladed propellers. 5 built, surviving 4 converted to JRM3. JRM2 The last JRM1 on order was completed as the JRM2 with the engines changed to 3,000 HP Pratt & Whitney R4360-40 engines with 4-blade, 16 feet, 8 in diameter Curtiss electric propellers. Gross weight increased by 20,000 pound. 22. JRM3 Model 170B. Conversion of the remaining 4 JRM1s re-engined with 2,400 HP Wright R3350-24WA engines turning 16 feet, 8 in Curtiss electric props, of which the inboard engines were fitted with reversible pitch devices. Aircraft. JRM1 Marshall Mars burning near Honolulu, Hawaii. 5 April 1950 The nose of Marshall Mars photographed by a joint NOAA, University of Hawaii National Park Service survey in 2004. 23. The Old Lady Bureau Number, BUNO, 1520. Ordered on 23 August 1938 and completed as the prototype long-range patrol XPB-2M1. It was first flown on 3 July 1942 and converted in December 1943 to transport variant and designated XPB-2M1R. Assigned initially to VR-8 at NAS Patuxent River, Maryland for crew training. It was later transferred to VR-2 at NAS Alameda, California and scrapped in 1945. Hawaii Mars JRM1 BUNO 76819 first flown on the 21st of July 1945 and delivered to the United States Navy. It sank on the 5th of August 1945 in the Chesapeake Bay and was disposed as scrap. Philippine Mars JRM1 BUNO 76820. Delivered to the USN on the 26th of June, 1946 and assigned to VR-2 at NAS Alameda, California. Converted and redesignated JRM-3. Withdrawn from service on the 22nd of August, 1956 and sold in 1959, it was converted to forest firefighting aircraft and registered CF-like, later CFLYK. The aircraft continued to fly with Flying Tankers Incorporated until she and the Hawaii Mars were purchased in 2007 by the Coulson Group. The Philippine Mars has not flown on fires since the summer of 2006 and was repainted to JRM-2 Caroline Mars in the St. Johns River at NAS Jacksonville, Florida in 1949. Original U.S. Navy markings in preparation for transfer to a museum display at the National Naval Aviation Museum at NAS Pensacola, Florida. The plan to ferry her to the museum in April or May 2016, 24, was put on hold. 13. As of September 2020, the Philippine Mars remains stored at the Spro 8 Lake Base alongside the Hawaii Mars. Marianas Mars JRM-1 BUNO 76821. Delivered to the USN on the 26th of February, 1946 and assigned to VR-2 at NAS Alameda. Converted and redesignated JRM-3, it was withdrawn from service on the 22nd of August, 1956 and sold in 1959. Converted to forest firefighting aircraft unregistered CFLYJ. The aircraft crashed into Mount Moriarty near Nanaimo, Vancouver Island, on 23 June 1961, when the water drop mechanism failed, leaving the aircraft unable to climb